started asking myself, well, why am I Protestant? Like, what am I protesting? Well, I'm protesting the Catholic faith. And so I really started to go down into studying, well, what am I protesting? Who is Martin Luther? What did the early church teach? Was there an early church, or did my faith begin in the 16th century with the Protestant Reformation? Why are there 40,000 denominations? Why isn't the church unified?
I think every Protestant should ask the questions she's raising. But there is one question that towers above them all. What happened for 1,500 years of Christianity? Are we really expected to believe that Jesus Christ, the very same Lord who promised, "I am with you always, even to the end of the age," suddenly packed his bags after resurrection and walked away from his church? That he abandoned the apostles, the disciples, and the entire Christian community, leaving them without guidance, without truth, and without authority for 15 long centuries? And then, as if on cue, Martin Luther comes striding onto the stage. He opens the Bible, sits down with his private interpretation, and suddenly discovers the fullness of the Christian faith. A truth, we are told, somehow escaped every saint, every martyr, every church father, and every council for 1.5 millennia. Really? I struggle to see how our Protestant brothers and sisters don't recognize the sheer absurdity of such a claim.
So this is a downright false representation of Protestantism. It's ignorant, it's uncharitable, and it's frankly laughable. I wish that these Roman Catholic content creators would at least take some time to go and read early Protestant sources like the Augsburg Confession, where the early Protestants were very clear that they were not rejecting 1,500 years of church tradition. They began by affirming the authority of the ecumenical creeds, by affirming the authority of the church fathers. For example, they quote Augustine and say his authority should not be regarded lightly. They cited Ambrose and Chrysostom and others in their explanation of justification by faith. What the Protestant reformers claimed was that the church needed a course correction, that it had been for the most part faithful, but that in the late Middle Ages especially, speak of recent errors, the church had allowed corruptions to creep in, distortions of the one Catholic faith, and that there needed to be some changes, some reforms, some corrections. And Martin Luther was not the first to call for these reforms. He wasn't the first one to acknowledge these problems, but he was perhaps the loudest. And God used his 95 Theses to spark Reformation and tap into a widespread sentiment, a widespread concern about these corruptions, and kind of encourage more to step up and call out these problems. And the way that the Roman Catholic Church responded in this time was to excommunicate and persecute Protestants and push them out of the church. And so Protestants were never trying to start a new church, but they were forced to form new ecclesial bodies in their various states, countries, because they had been pushed out of the Roman Catholic Church. And so the claim is not that we're protesting the Catholic faith. That's just silly. The claim is that we're trying to return to the pure Catholic faith. And so someone like this content creator, he needs to go read someone like Thomas Oden, who spent decades studying the tradition of the church, who spent his life defending classic Christianity, who edited thousands of pages of commentary on the church fathers, whose study of church history did not make him cease to be Protestant, as is commonly claimed. And if you're going to engage with Protestants, you can reject our doctrine, you can reject our theology, but at least represent us fairly, at least make a little bit of an effort.